Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse, EJ Menswear and Shamrock Thoroughbreds.
As they race up the hill towards the finish, Hart the Herald here on Perry Pass has absolutely bolted up under Paul Townend. On Perry Pass won by wide margin. On the final 150 yards, it's Irish point for Marie National, who's coming with every stride. They're going to the line. Irish point, Marie National on the near side.
If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, as it helps to get horse racing content out there to the wider audience. We look forward to reading all your hashtag 5cast selections in the comments section below. Enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
Season 6, episode 10 of Champ.ie, and hello, and you're all very welcome along to another action-packed show. Well, what have we coming up for you this week? Well, we have plenty. We have a very special guest in Nicky Henderson. He's going to be coming along on the show. We're going to be getting you to enter your selections for our 5cast as always. We'll be looking ahead to the big weekend racing by Tingle Creek and the Henry VIII Novices Chase, as well as the action, of course, at Navan on Saturday, and Energamine returns at Cork on Sunday. And, of course, Stephen Thorne will join us as well. Big thanks, as always, to our sponsors, Gowran Park, Boylesports, EJ Menswear and Shamrock Thoroughbreds. And, of course, before we get into the lads and talk to Brian O'Keeffe and Barry Doyle, here's a little teaser from our very special guest this week.
Constitution Hill, or Sir Gino, or Constitution Hill and Sir Gino, or I pray what doesn't hope is it's Sir Gino on his own again.
Does he give Lossiemouth £7 in the champion a minute?
I mean, if he's back to his old form, surely he's the horse she's got to beat. If he's back to where he was, I mean, don't forget he left off at Christmas last year and he was as impressive as ever at Kempton. And if he's back to that, then why not? He's the one they've all. Sir Gino's got to worry about him, and so is Lossiemouth. So State Man.
Yes, there you go. Plenty more to come from Nicky Henderson later on. Lossiemouth, Sir Gino, Constitution Hill, the ifs, they're there in Nicky's interview as well. But we'll get to all of that later. We'll hear plenty more from him. Brian O'Keeffe of Boylesports, great to have you back on the show again. I believe you're back from a well-deserved holiday in the sun.
Yes, and off to Aintree now tomorrow, David, for the big Becher on Saturday. So lots and lots to look forward to. Brilliant racing at Navan, brilliant racing at Cork, and Christmas is nearly here. So
absolutely. It's on the way, isn't it? It really is. And, well, Barry, our 5 races that we're going to look at this week, we're going to look at 3 of them, of course, at Sandown, and we're going to be looking at the races in this order. We're going to start off with the 3 Mile 4 London National Handicap Chase, the 3:35 on Saturday, the Handicap Hurdle at 2:25, and the 1:15, the Pertemps Network Handicap Hurdle, with 2 races, of course, at Aintree, the Boylesports home of the early payout handicap, and also the Boylesports Becher Chase Premier Handicap. So right now, get your selections in, your 5cast selections in the comment section below. And of course, if you haven't yet done so, do subscribe to the show, because it helps get the content out to the wider audience. Okay, Barry, well, we're going to start off before we get to our 5cast selections this week. We're going to look at the Tingle Creek and the Henry VIII Novices Chase. Thoughts on the Tingle Creek? As easy as Jonbon turning up and winning?
Well, he's 8-15, Dave, and I have to say I wouldn't back him at even money. It looks a trappy enough little Tingle Creek. Obviously, he won the race last season. He's 4 from 4 at Sandown. But I have my suspicions. Is he a better horse? First of all, with a little bit of nicer ground. I mean, at Sandown, there's plenty of rain. I think up to 25 mil of rain due. And I suppose the ground is already soft at the moment in the chase course. So I know he's form on heavy ground. I know he's form on soft ground. I just wonder, is he a better horse on nicer ground and up and trip as well? I mean, we saw he needed every single yard at Aintree last season to get up over 2.5. And I just think that the race looks deep enough to me. And on ratings, obviously, he's clear. If they tried hold-up tactics once again with Edwardstone, I know they switched tactics last year. You know, I think the pace angle of this race is very, very interesting, because there's plenty in here. Quilixius likes to go forward. Solness is in there. Unexpected Party. And we saw Jonbon ridden aggressively last time as well. So I think those who are patient in this race might actually come through with a nice run. It's not a betting race for me. I certainly wouldn't be backing him at his current price. And I could see him going off closer to even money. As I said, even if it got evens, I wouldn't back him. The one I'm most interested in here, I'm not sure the ground will be to his liking. He's doubly entered. JPR1, I thought at 12-1 looked a massive price. Could run well if the Tizzards decide to run him here. He's a lot better. I think he could be a stone better than his current mark of 134, which would put him in the mix. But no betting race for me. The one I'm most interested in long term is JPR1. I don't think we've seen the best of him.
I'll take evens if you're giving a bit of it. That's just me.
That's fair enough.
We'll sort that out after. If there's evens going at the end of the show. Brian, would you take evens about Jonbon?
I certainly would. He was 5-2 on a couple of days ago, David. He's all the way out to 8-13 now, so he is weak. I don't know if we're all falling into this trap, though. Every time he runs, we want to get Jonbon beaten. And away from Cheltenham, he's never been beaten. 11 out of 11 away from Cheltenham. But as Barry said, he did look like he needed every yard of that 2.5 miles at Aintree, and maybe that just makes him that little bit vulnerable. Quilixios, that's a horse I wouldn't back at 5-1. I think that one's underpriced. We know Henry de Bromhead's often improved for a fence, but I don't think Quilixios has shown he has just yet, albeit match made in heaven, maybe a Henry horse in the railway fences. But yeah, I think maybe it's going to be Edward Stone. It's finally going to get the better of Jonbon. And he's a decent price as well at 7-1
It does look trappy, like.
Yeah, it is trappy. And everything else bar the favourite is kind of a price that's backable, isn't it? Brian, what about how did they bet in the Henry VIII novice chase?
I will tell you right now, Lotus Sud, even money. He's a horse I really, really like for Harry and Dan Skelton. 5-2 down memory lane for Gordon Elliott, Mark Walsh. Rubo, 11-2 over fences. He goes 11-2. Touch Me Not as well. Another one for Gordon. And Soul Icons, your outsider, at 25-1.
Yeah, Lotus Sud, Barry. He's. I think the way to be betting here in this race is for him to win by 10 or plus lengths.
Well, considering Dave that he won on good ground in his last 2 starts, and apparently he wants, a nice bit of juice in the ground. The ground is going to suit him. I thought he jumped beautifully at Cheltenham last time. Did what he had to do, of course, at Stratford. And we might talk about the horse who finished second to him at Stratford later on in the show. But in terms of Lotus Sud, we're talking even money and favourites. He's one I would back at even money. Down memory lane, albeit I think he's a lovely horse for Gordon Elliott, and I think that form looks strong. He did have his own way in front at Navan in that beginners that could have been easily a graded chase. Birdie or bust, by the way. That's one for Sunday at Cork. Hopefully that's declared. I think that horse could be nice. That finished 4th to down memory lane, and could be nice in that Mayor's Novice chase at Cork on Sunday. But back to this race, Lotus Sud, 2-2 over fences. Look at its form over hurdles as well. I mean, achieved a decent rating of 138, Dave. Obviously was very, very good at Cheltenham, finishing second to Absurd. Was second in the Betfair hurdle as well the time before that, and was only beaten the length as well in that grade 2, of course, the Scottish champion hurdle. So form is rock solid. Jumps very, very well, and I'd say we'll take all the beating.
Right, we're going to start off with our 5-cast races, and we're going to work backwards on the list today. We're going to go from the 3:35 back to the 1:15 at Sandown, and Brian O'Keeffe is going to update us firstly on the betting for the 3-mile 4 London National Handicap Chase at 3:35.
Yeah, we've got 9-2 favourite Mr. Van Gogh, Dave. Sarah Bradstock, interestingly, Nico in the saddle. Broken Halo, 5-1. Montgomery for the all-conquering Venetia Williams is 6s. 7-1 Unanswered Prayers for the Gordons, Freddie and Chris. Tommy Bow, we saw that one run out, of course, in the cross-country at Cheltenham. 8s alongside Certainly Red and Ballygriffin Cottage. And it's 9-1 or bigger the rest.
Barry, I was particularly taken by Mr. Van Gogh. The day this horse won, I backed him at 11-4. And when a horse goes off so far in front, you're kind of waiting for him to fall back to the pack. It was further away he went as they stayed. And since then, he's been running in better company. But is this a chance for Mr. Van Gogh again to bounce back to winning ways this weekend?
You're talking about the race, obviously, the Devon National, where he absolutely bolted up last season, back in February, of course, by 60 lengths. And look, I know it is his own way in front on that occasion, but this is a stout stayer. He loves to gallop, loves to travel. And Nico de Boinville reuniting, of course, with the Bradstocks, gave him a great day on Coney Green, the Cheltenham Gold Cup, all those years ago. But I think you have to judge Mr. Van Gogh on what he done in that particular contest back in February, because less than a month later, he was rocking up in the National Hunt Chase and actually ran well for a long time in the race, finishing 3rd, beaten a fair way now, in fairness, by Corbett's Cross. But he was majorly up in class, and he was probably over the top by the time he got up to Scotland on his last run of the season last year. But look, heavy ground, 3 mile, an extended, obviously, 3 mile and 4 furlongs here. He's proven over 3 mile and 6. The heavy ground is going to be really to his liking. The tongue strap goes on first time. I really think he's a good bet at odds of 11-2 at the moment. And it looks a winnable contest. I suppose he's a reasonably nice racing weight as well, 11 stone 6. I could see him winning this and maybe targeting something like a Welsh National, going off maybe a short price for something like a Welsh National, because I think Mr. Van Gogh, there's a lot more to come. Like the raced 8-year-old Dave, and he's only had 8 starts in his career as well.
Yeah, I think he's got a big chance. Brian, for you, what would you like in it?
Yeah, I'm hoping the range stays away at Sandown. It might just skirt around it. You never know, because I like the chances of Certainly Red for Mark Goldstein. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. I think his form is absolutely rock solid. I mean, he ran a cracker in the 365 Gold Cup at the end of last season when he was 4th behind Manella Kakuner. And I think he started off this campaign really nicely as well. Got the better of Copperhead last time out at Sandown. There is a Venetia horse, though, lurking in here, isn't there, in the form of Montgomery, who's a bit of a winning machine. And Venetia, she's operating at nearly a 40% strike rate, so you have to respect that one's chances. You have to respect your selection as well, Mr. Van Gogh. But for me, a tentative nod for Certainly Red, who loves a marathon.
Yeah, and I think just with Nico de Boinville, I think that is, for me, the tip there this weekend, that this horse is ready to rock and roll in this one. Right, let's move on, guys. We'll look at the 2-mile handicap hurdle. That, of course, is the 225 on Saturday. And Barry, firstly, I'm going to come to you on this one. What do you think is the big hope here?
Well, one of my stronger fancies of the entire weekend, in actual fact, Dave, we're going to get on with it because I'm going to nap it this weekend at its price. I think Altabelli looks exceptionally well handicapped off 130. And look, we'll hear from Nicky later on in the show. Willmount is a horse that, I respect. And I think last season, I really did, expect him to make up into a real top novice for Nicky Henderson, but he's been off the track. He's obviously had his issues, and Altabelli is the way we're going to play here. I thought the Paul Nicholls favourite in the race might just lack experience for a race like this. Altabelli has obviously proven handicap form as well. I thought the standout piece of form, though, was third to Lucia last December at Ascot. And obviously we saw what she went on to do, running an absolute massive race in the Champion Hurdle. So on that form, that race, I think as a whole, the form has worked out well. So Altabelli, I think Brian is hoping the rain stays away. I'm hoping it really falls for this fella. And the Norwegians, they were saying 25 plus mil rain at the weekend. I don't know what the mountains are saying, but you might look up there and see what it looks like. But I think Altabelli, the softer the ground, the better. I'm expecting we could even see heavy in the ground description at Sandown, similar to Aintree, and we'll come on to Aintree's car. 10 stone 8. He's been targeted at the race, and Harry Fry, of course, has won this race with Love Enva 2 seasons ago. So lots to like. Altabelli 5-1. That'll be mopped up, Dave.
I'll get back to you on the reading of the mountains as soon as the rain clears away later on this afternoon and I have a clear view. Brian, how does the market speak and what do you like?
Yeah, Cabral de Matan, the unexposed horse for Paul Nicholls, is our 3-1 fav. 7-2 Willmount. Going to be interesting to see how he goes. Altabelli, Barry selection. The money's coming for that one into 4-1. Knickerbocker Glory 19-2. Nemean Lion for Kerry Lee 15-2, and it's double figures the rest, Dave.
Yeah, cracking race to look forward to. Right, the final race we go to, Brian. I'm going to come to you first because it is the 115 at Sandown. It is, of course, the 2-mile 7 Pertemps Network handicap hurdle. Plenty of interesting types in here. We had maybe hoped to have seen Tony Martin's runner, wasn't declared.
That'll be in Carlisle, I'd imagine, Dave, by the way.
I'd imagine.
That'll be in Carlisle next week. There is a Pertemps qualifier, and if the ground dries out between now and then, you might see Hamasai and one win and put him away for the Pertemps.
Yes, absolutely. But this week, Brian, not a big field, but maybe an easier chance for us to narrow it down and get a winner in it.
Yeah, it's interesting the way they've changed these Pertemps qualifiers. We've had a lot of races with small fields, but maybe they're a little bit more competitive as a result that you're actually rewarded for winning. But the one I like is West to the Bridge for the Skeltons, Harry and Dan. I did like the profile of Dubrovnik Harry for the Harry Fry team, but I'm just going to give him a swerve on his first run of the season. He might just need it. And West of the Bridge comes here. He's race fit. I think he took a big step forward last time when he chased home Might I. I think he got racing a little bit too early on that occasion and might have left that race behind. And looking at his back form, no problems with the trip, no problems with the ground. And I could see him running well. Just to mention Authorised Art, I fancy that one for the Grad Seft. And he's probably just finished at Aintree and will be making his way to Sandown, so I don't think I'll be going in on that one again.
Barry?
I'd say if you told Paul Nicholls and the team at Ditchit that Henry II would only achieve a rating of 125 over hurdles, they probably would have laughed at you a couple of seasons ago, Dave, because look, this is the horse I like. Look, first of all, it looks a very winnable race. It doesn't look, it doesn't look to me like there's anything lurking here that's massively well handicapped, other than potentially Henry II here. Look, he's 5-1 in the market, fourth behind Active Authority at Sandown, of course, last time out. He's since gone on to win, so the form is working out strongly. And he is a Grade 2 winner, rated 125. He was a Grade 2 winner as a novice at Sandown back in December 2022. Look, he's obviously had a couple of problems, but second run of the season, I thought I saw enough promise in that last run at Sandown to suggest that there could be more to come off 125. And I'd be pretty confident he'll finish up on a higher rating over hurdles. And he looks unexposed, as I said, over the 3 miles. And Paul Nicholls going well at the moment, 22%.
Yeah, he's going very, very well. Well, they're the opening 3 races we've looked at. We've 2 more to come from Aintree. Firstly, let's get a message from the people down in County Sligo from EJ Menswear.
How are things? EJ here. We got an unbelievable competition tonight, okay? EJ Menswear and EJMenswear.com are teaming up with Champ.ie, Ireland's premier racing podcast. Any racing fans that likes to have a little bet every now and again or follow the horses, Champ.ie are helping us to launch our fantastic tailor bundle that's back on track again. Everything for $2.99, blazer, shirt, chinos, shoes, socks, the whole lot. In fact, we have the 2 boys here themselves, Barry and David. Look at these 2 boys from Champ.ie, looking good in their tailored bundle from EJ Menswear. They came all the way from Tipperary to get togged out for our tailor bundle. Good news travels fast, okay? So EJ Menswear, EJMenswear.com, check it out. All about your tailor bundle. You got your blazer, you got your shirt, you got your chinos, you got your shoes. The boys are going happy, fully togged out, home happy. So our competition tonight, okay, we're going to give away 2 VIP tickets to a major horse racing event over Christmas, compliments of Champ.ie, and a tailor bundle for some lucky winner. I'm just going to ask you a simple question. Derek Fox has won the Grand National how many times? Once, twice, or 3 times? How many times has Derek Fox, a local legend of a jockey, won? And someone's going to win a fantastic tailor bundle of their choice. Check it out, all there, and more lines being added over the next few days. Your blazer, your shirt, your chinos, your shoes, and someone's going to win full outfit of their choice and a trip to one of the premier racing events over the Christmas. Don't forget, check out champ.ie, check it out on YouTube, and get all you want to know about horse racing. The boys will look after you.
Yes, absolutely. And we were well looked after when we made the trip down to EJ Menswear. And a big thank you to the team. And hopefully they have a really good Christmas as well. And out there, if you fancy getting some nice clothes for the Christmas, I can assure you there's a great selection down there. Right, lads, we'll move on because we're going to head into 2 races at Aintree. And Brian, I'm going to come to you first, and we'll get the betting for the 132, which is the Boylesports home with the early payout handicap chase. What way is the market developing here?
Yeah, it's the John Joes at the top of the market. Springwell Bay 5-2, 130 last year's winner Richmond Lake for Brian Hughes and Donald McCain. Dr. TJ Eckelberg is 13-2 rather, 7-1 Grandad's Cottage. No Risk to Flow 8s, 9s Real Stone, Serendipity 11s, 12 Salamanca Bay, and Whistle in the Darks your 25s Outsider.
Barry, is it fair to say John Joe's horse here on the form of the run at Cheltenham the last time brings the best line of form, deserves to be at the top of the market?
12 stone on absolutely bottomless ground. I'm not entirely sure I'd like to be rolling in at that price, Dave. I'd be surprised if it goes off favoured. I think the money and the one I respect in the race the most is Richmond Lake. Brian mentioned he won the race last year and the ground was borderline unraceable. I mean, what did we say? We could have up to 30 mil of rain between, and it's already there's heavy in places on the national course. Obviously, this is on the Mildway course, but I'd expect really testing ground at Aintree at the weekend, and Richmond Lake has proven form on that, that really testing ground. Look, at 130, just given the stable form of Donald McCain, look, I'd imagine the horse has been really targeted for this race once again. He could shape up into something like a national horse in the future as well. But the one I really like at the prices is the 8-1 chance in here. One of 2 runners in the race for Ollie Murphy, who's flying it at the moment. Sean Bone has picked No Risk the Flow, who I did mention was second to Load of Sud over a trip plenty short last time at Stratford, and teed up nicely for this race. Look, it's only its second run back after wind surgery. the softer the ground, the better this horse's chance. I really like its form on heavy ground. It's 3 pound lower over fences than its hurdles mark. And even though he's 9 years of age, he's a lightly raced 9-year-old. There could be more to come. He's a nice racing weight on off 126. I just thought he made appeal at 8-1, but the one I'm massively, I suppose, respecting in the race is your selection, Dave. Richmond Lake. I know you're quite keen.
Yeah, I'm very keen on Richmond Lake. I think it's just targeted for this at the weekend. I think ground won't be a problem. And I think Donald McCain and Brian Hughes, when the team up and lay out one for a job, they're never too far away. Brian, what would be your selection?
A tentative nod, I think, to Dr. TJ Eckleberg off of featherweight with Conor Ring in the saddle. I thought he was impressive last time out at Haydock when he bet General Medrano, and that horse has boosted the form nicely by bolting up at Newbury. So I think this step up and trip could suit TJ nicely here, as I said. But I do respect Richmond Lake, last year's winner. He's a horse that loves attritional conditions, and I respect Barry's as well. No risk to flow. I think that horse could be handicapped to run well. But right down the bottom, Dr. TJ Eckleberg.
Yeah, Dr. TJ Eckleberg, then it's an intriguing race. Final race we're going to look at, final one of the 5-cast selection races. Don't forget to put your selections down below and subscribe as well to the channel. That is, of course, the Boylesports Becher Chase. This is going to be an absolute belter. It's the 207. Firstly, Brian, going to come to you on how the market is talking and what do you like in it?
Yeah, I think the traders are scratching their heads a little bit because you got co-favourites of 3, Chianti Classico, King Turgeon and Gaborio, all at 4-1. Cruise Control 6s, Iron Bridge 15-2. Celeb Dalen, Chambard, Arizona Cardinal, they're all in there at 12-1. Major Dundee 14s, 16s Percussion, who loves the national fences, Monte Agueldo 28s. And now Where or When is your 33-1 outsider. It's a tricky race. In terms of movers, David, I'll just give you them. Chianti Classico, that was as big as 10-1 on Monday, all the way into 4s. And Cruise Control was the other big mover, 12s into 6s. But in terms of who I like, I think Gaborio is the one here. I think the step up and trip is really, really going to suit that horse. He'll have absolutely no problems with the conditions. And I think he's going to reverse the form with King Turgeon, the winner of the Grand Sefton. And one at a price that I think could run each way, is a 12-year-old Chambard, but won this race last year, loves a real stamina sapping test. And Venetia Williams, as we mentioned, you can't get away from her at the moment, nearly a 40% strike rate. So Chambard each way, despite being a 12-year-old, but I do like Gaborio.
Yeah, I think Chianti Classico could carry these on his back on the best of his known form. And I won't be one bit surprised if he goes and wins in very good style on Saturday. But it is going to take a lot of winning, Barry, the Becher Chase, because conditions, as we know, they're going to be tough. 3 miles 2 is probably going to be like a 3 mile 6. So for you, what are you liking it?
Well, I won't be back in Chianti Classico lugging 12 stone around him. Almost an unraceable Aintree on Saturday afternoon. It'll be some effort, Dave. Look, he has the race fitness on side, to be fair to him. Gabriel and King Turgeon, I think both might appreciate a little bit of nicer ground. Iron Bridge, I thought, was an interesting runner off an interesting mark, but I just wonder, would the Welsh National once again be something that they're looking at? Look, he could run very well. He could win the race and go on and still run a big race in the Welsh National. But the one that's been targeted at the race and needs to win to get up to a mark to get into something like a Grand National, which I know is the plan, is Tom Lacey's Cruise Control. Now, Tom did say on the stable tour, Dave, that he believes this horse is actually could be a better horse on nicer ground. But the form figures, they don't lie. And I suppose the bare form, he's won twice on heavy ground. 1/2-7 at Newcastle last season. He's only had 9 starts over fences. And of course, look at his entry form as well. Did win that Grade 3 handicap, of course, back in April on the mile away course at Aintree. So I think he's made for the national fences. He's had that prep run at Aintree last time over hurdles. This has been the target. And I can't see a way how he doesn't run a very big race. That's Cruise Control for Tom Lacey and Stan Shepherd, despite the ground, as Tom Lacey would say, maybe being, well, he thinks it's going to be nicer on better ground. So maybe one for the spring as well.
Yes, absolutely. Cracking racing to look forward to. We look forward to your 5-cast selections below as we head into our next ad break. And right after this, we're going to hear from this week's very special guest, Nicky Henderson.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City.
Gowran Park is your #1 choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events, and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2025 takes place on Thursday the 23rd of January. With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit gowranpark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you to Gowran Park this winter.
150 odds to go. Glengooley, and ain't that a shame from Angel's Dawn? Ain't that a shame is going on to win the Goffs Thyestes, pulling out every stop from Glengooley.
Boylesports. Don't just bet. Choose wisely.
Fantastic. So, with a little festive treat for, of course, Champ.ie listeners. Welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast. Nicky Henderson. Nicky, it's great to see you. Looking well, and I suppose Tingle Creek weekend upcoming, Nicky, and really looking forward to seeing Jonbon.
Yeah, no, that's the plan. A few days to go, but no, everything's going accordingly anyway. And no, we look forward to the weekend. This is going to be very competitive, but he's in good form.
Super, Nicky. I suppose just looking back to last weekend, obviously we have to mention Sir Gino, still unbeaten. You sounded keen afterwards, though, with potentially going chasing.
Well, the original plan was to go. Well, it wasn't. The original plan was to keep both options open, and I'd have to say they very much still are, to be honest with you. As I say, he was nearly going to run in the novice. There was a beginner's chase at Kempton on the Monday, and it was when, after Constitution's gallop at Newbury with Sir Gino, that we had a problem with Constitution Hill. So he wasn't going to get to the fighting fifth. So instead of going novice chasing, we switched Sir Gino to Newcastle, which was good. I mean, I'm not sure how much it told us. Mystical Power obviously didn't. Last year's Mystical Power didn't come to Newcastle, I've got to say. And so it slightly devalues the form of the race. We didn't get a mark of, how those two would compare. Without Mystical Power, the race lacked a bit of depth, I suspect. And all he could do was what he did, which was he jumped very well, he travelled very well, and he quickened up nicely. So he did the job, but it wouldn't it wouldn't tell you everything. But for his first run, I thought it was, you're going to have to be very, very happy.
Did watching Lossiemouth maybe change your mind a little bit? She was very good in Hampton's Grace.
Yeah, she was spectacular, to be fair. She was throughout last year as well. She's undoubtedly the sort of, the one that's got to take your eye. I mean, in that State Man probably didn't take everybody's eye the other day when he did get beaten. As much as, she then stood out. And then Willie had another novice of Joe Donnelly's. Well, not a novice of Joe Donnelly's. You'll have to pronounce it from Ankerdam or something like that. The next day, that looked very impressive. So there are all sorts of hats in the ring. And I'm sure Willie's got plenty of, he's got to juggle his troops around accordingly. And therefore, I'm not surprised that he's threatening to come and have a go at us at Kempton over Christmas. So that's going to make this Christmas hurdle a very interesting project. I couldn't guarantee where we're going to be at the time. I mean, question of Constitution Hill or Sir Gino, or Constitution Hill and Sir Gino, or I pray what doesn't hope is it's Sir Gino on his own again, because we're desperate to get Constitution Hill out there. And, at the moment, we're on schedule.
How is he, Nicky? How's he doing?
He's grand. Yeah, we're back in action. We missed a few days, but he was lame, but we're sound and back in action again now. He'll be ready to have a gallop this weekend. And he's got another couple of weeks to go. So in a funny way, I don't think it counts against him. And if anything, it's given us a bit of added time. So I'm not, if everything goes smoothly now, we'll be in good shape.
Just looking at this weekend, obviously Jonbon, 4 from 4, I think, at Sandown, unbeaten at Sandown. Do you think he's a better horse at Sandown than the likes of Cheltenham or even Aintree?
I don't. I mean, he does like it round there. He's he's a big, strong horse. He loved his jumping at Cheltenham the other day was just as good as I've ever seen it. I mean, I think he's been, the only time he got beaten was in the Clarence House at Cheltenham last year. But I don't think there's anything wrong with Cheltenham. He didn't get to the festival last year, but he's won the Schlur 2 years running, and I said then the Clarence House was the blip. But I think everybody could see there was one error in there that no horse could have recovered from. So,
are you confident that 2 miles is still his best trip?
I think we've made our mind up at the end of last season, especially after the Celebration Chase, which he won for the second year. He won it as a novice the first time. And having missed Cheltenham, it was important to get him back. He went to Aintree, he was good. That was over 2.5. But he came back to do what I think he probably does best is go a good gallop and jump over 2 miles. And, JP, and I think we all agreed that we're staying down the 2 mile route. I've no doubt he'll get further. He proved he gets 2.5 at Aintree. But I wouldn't know what would happen if you went even further than that. And we had the same issue, if you like, with Shishkin, in that, he went from being a 2 miler and finished up a 3 miler, and a genuine one as well. He should have won the King George last year, poor boy. But, he started at 2, and we really found he was a better horse when he went further. But I don't think Jonbon necessarily needs further. He's very good at this game, and especially, as you say, around Sandown.
Wanted to ask you about a horse called Peaky Boy. That was some effort on his first start over fences, Nicky. And I suppose the question for you about Peaky Boy is, do you think he might have the attributes to shape up into something like a Brown Advisory horse later in the year?
Well, he might well do. It'd be nice if he did. He's certainly not a 2 mile horse. Typical. They've taken the 2.5 mile novice chase out of the Cheltenham programme. There's no grade 1 2.5 now, and that might be Peaky Boy's sort of prime. I don't know. I'd be pretty sure he stayed. I mean, Willie and Ronnie Bartlett, they must be thinking the same with Ballyburn. They've got an issue there. Whether they brought him out over 2.5 miles the other day. Now, are they going to go up or are they going to go down? And the only issue with Peaky Boy is he certainly won't be going down. If he goes anywhere, it'll up to 3. Or you have to stay at 2.5, in which case there probably isn't a race for him at the festival, but that's not the end of the world. There's a very good race at Aintree for him, but we'll see. I mean, if he did stay 3, and at some stage we're probably going to have to look at it, but at the moment I'm quite happy to stay at 2.5.
Will Mount, obviously owned by Ollie Harris as well. And last year, what went wrong, Nicky, in the Challow hurdle? Because he looked really promising before that point.
Wrong with the Challow, we couldn't run him again. He was very good the first time, and he'd been very impressive in his bumpers. It's a difficult conundrum. I wanted to go novice chasing with him, but I can't because they can't give him a handicap mark. Now, they have given him a mark over hurdles, so he runs in a handicap on Saturday, a handicap hurdle. I'd have preferred to have gone chasing, but we can't go chasing except for run him in I didn't want to chuck him in that grade 2 at Newbury first time over fences, because I think that's a hard place for a youngster with only 2 runs under his belt to start. So we'll give him a run in this handicap, and from there on he will be eligible for a mark over fences. So he could switch, depends how Saturday goes. He'll come on a lot for the run because, as you say, he hasn't run for quite some time since the Challow last year. So it'll be a year on from since we last saw him.
What was the issue there with Will Mount, or was there one found after the Challow, Nicky?
Yeah, no, we had issues, but I mean, they're all resolved and he's fine. He was sound, but, we couldn't get him back for anything last season. So he went home at an earlier stage than normal, and he's back in good form.
What about Kingston Pride? Entered the weekend as well.
Well, we like him. I mean, he looked like a smart bumper horse. That's all we got to do with him last year. And he won very nicely first time out, and probably I don't know. I say wasn't a great race. I think it was a bit better than it might have been given credit for, but it's a step up, obviously. But 2.5 looks ideal. I think we're due quite a bit of rain before the weekend, so we might have to prepare for some quite soft ground at Sandown.
That's nice, Nicky. Exactly as the name said on the tin. She looked quite smart.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, she was. That was a good performance at Warwick, because I think the second horse is meant to be pretty smart, and they finished a long way clear. So you'd have to hope that she's doing everything right. I think the chances are she might well go to Cheltenham next weekend, and we'll run her over 2 miles. We need to find out if she's the necessary pace for the mare's novice. And there's only one way to find out, and that's to run her over 2 and see.
Recruit from France, Nicky, I wanted to ask you about a horse called Charisma. Is she a nice type?
Yeah, she's a lovely mare. Lovely looking mare, yeah. She's coming along nicely, yeah. I mean, she's got some very high class, we call it bumper form. It's those AQPS flat races. We've had some very good projects that have come out of there. Epitante did, and Bouvardere did. So, they can be good hunting grounds for young horses. No, I like her a lot. Yeah, she's probably 3 or 4 weeks off a run.
Manila Premier obviously came with a big reputation from the point-to-point field. Nicky, is he nearing ready?
No, we're probably going to leave him alone for a bit. He's not quite ready, and we'll just see how things are going after Christmas.
And Native Hill is one that I see you mention in a couple of the stable tours. Is he one that you like?
I do. He hasn't. Again, he missed last year, and so he's got a bit of work to do. But he'd come around about Christmas time, I expect.
Lots of Shrewdies are mentioning Lucky Place in the Stayers Hurdle division as one that maybe could shape up into a Stayers contender. Do you see it that way?
I'd like to think it's possible. Again, he was meant to go novice chasing, but the program here just doesn't allow for these horses, and we were forced to go back over hurdles with him for lack of anything else to do. Beginners chases, races to introduce horses to fences they don't exist. And I've got to say, I went back to hurdles in frustration, and to be fair, a very valuable race. And he did that extremely well, and he looks as he could well be a stayer in the making. We'll just have to see. He had a productive time last year. I think he was 4th in the Coral. And that was a good performance at Ascot. So we'll probably go back to Cheltenham for the Cleve Hurdle on New Year's Day. And that's staying at 2 mile 5. Just take it little steps at a time. Well, the Cleve Hurdle's a good race. So it's quite a big step, yeah. But it's not going up to 3 yet.
Nicky, finally, before we let you go, a very fit Constitution Hill, fully ready. Does he give Lossiemouth £7 in the champion a minute?
If he's back to his old form, surely he's the horse she's got to beat. The 7 that she gets her allowance, fair and square. Wherever we meet, they'll have that. If he's back to where he was, don't forget he left off at Christmas last year, and he was as impressive as ever at Kempton. And if he's back to that, then why not? He's the one they've all. So Gino's got to worry about him, and so is Lossiemouth. So State Man.
Navan and Cork this weekend. We've some racing there, and Cork on Sunday, and Ergamine. We're all looking forward to seeing him, Brian O'Keeffe.
Yeah, very much looking forward to the return of the king. I did see Ferdy Hollow entered in there as well. Is it too much of a dream to see Ferdy back this season?
Barry?
Listen, an Ergamine would absolutely kick him out of the way. So, listen, the rainfall, and I think it's certainly going to, be a big plus for an Ergamine reappearing. Obviously, we're speaking before Dex, but I still think he's the value for the Champ.ie Chase. just looking at the Champion Chase market, Jonbon, who I'm opposing this weekend, I'll give anyone out there even money if they want it. And I'll certainly give anyone 4-1 if they want Jonbon to win a Champion Chase. I just can't see Jonbon 2 miles around Cheltenham in March, certainly being the Champion Chase winner. I just don't see it. Brian, I know you're a big Gaelic Warrior fan, but I suppose going right-handed, he proved it last year in Arkle. I'm not sure the Arkle was the deepest last year. And with Found a 50 back in second on that occasion, nearly beaten by Sinesia, 1-3-1 rated, I think, at Navan. Does that form really stand up?
Yeah, it's starting to fall apart a little bit, Barry, isn't it? I think you're on the right train. If an Ergamine reappears and puts in anything near his best, I think that 10-1 is going to evaporate fairly sharpish, isn't it, for the Champion Chase? As he said, Jonbon, not overly keen on him. He's 7-2 alongside Gaelic Warrior, El Fabiolo. Then you're getting into Marine Nationale. Would anyone back Marine Nationale at 100-1 for a Champion Chase? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so, Barry. I just got a call there from JP on the side. He'll have an even 20k with you if you can just mark that in there. He's delighted with the even money. He said it's not often you get evens about a 5-1 chance. But at Navan, lads, it's good racing at Navan as well on Saturday, isn't there? I really like 14 Aces runs in the 142 for Willie Mullins. Won last time out. Could be very well. Could have still plenty more to come. It is a competitive race. JP's runner in there is a big chance as well. But 14 Aces, I'm going to be putting that forward as my next best pick of the weekend. That's in the 142 at Navan. Anything stand out on the card for you, Barry?
The maiden hurdle, David, thought there was an interesting runner called Magic Boom. The 11:30, the first race on Saturday's card in the Bective Silks. And we saw Gigaro win the race last year, of course, owned by Bective. I think she could be smart, came from the point-to-point field. And I think that 11:30, that's one that I'm certainly looking forward to seeing. And also owned by the Morans, Safair, runs in the 217 contest at Saturday. I put that forward as my next best of the weekend, Dave. I have to say, I liked this performance last year. It was given plenty to do, I thought, in that Grand Annual Chase. It was sent off favoured, and I just thought it could be well treated over fences. 2.5 miles. I like this run over 2.6, over hurdles to tee it up for a nice run here on Saturday. And there was lots to like. But have to say 14 Aces, I like the way that won at Galway as well. And he would certainly be on the short list for Navan on Saturday. Just a couple, Dave, to mention on Sunday around the grounds as well. You mentioned Cork, Birdie or Bust. We did say in that 140 contest, grade 2, she's entered up. Of course, a race won by Ellie May and Impervious. I think she could be a smart mare for Henry de Bromhead. Put it up for the Mayor's Chase on the Road to Cheltenham show on Monday with Brian Cooper, of course, earlier on in the week. So very keen to see how she gets on should she take up that engagement on Sunday. Birdie or Bust in that grade 2 Mayor's Novice Chase at Cork on Sunday. And Capability in the listed bumper at Huntington. She was very, very good on her first start for Anthony Honeyball at Aintree on decent enough ground. The form has worked out well because the second has gone on to run really well in a listed contest at Cheltenham last time. So Capability, Harry Cobden booked. I'd say she could be smart. She's 9-4 at the moment in the bumper at Huntington on Sunday.
Lovely. Well, we're going to head into our final break before we come back and give you our best bets for this weekend.
From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds have taken owners all over the world.
Tiger Bell in front, holds them. Late on the scene is Dawn Charger storming home, but Tiger Bell in front and won.
Coming through the centre, Laugh a Minute with a strong challenge on this Laugh a Minute, who goes on in the closing stages to win by a length and a half. Laugh a Minute from Fiscal Roots.
But it's Harry's Bar repelling the late challenge of the stable companion Dream today, and Harry's Bar makes it 6-course win.
Check out ShamrockThoroughbreds.com or click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description to learn more about new racehorse ownership opportunities.
Yeah, so we'll be catching up with Stephen Thorne just before the end of the show. Right, lads, it's that time of the show where our next best bets and our nap selections. And as our special guest once again this week, Brian O'Keeffe, we give you first dibs with your next best and nap pick for the weekend.
Next best, I'm going to go to the Friday Night Lights of Dundalk. And you'll be waiting a while because it's in the last race, the 8:30. Barry knows I backed this one on Wednesday. Come on, the lads, for Gavin Cromwell. Wayne Hassett takes over tomorrow. It all went wrong out of the stalls for this horse yesterday. He stumbled quite badly, but he finished a clear second to the reopposing Enor. Enor will carry the penalty on Friday, and I think that'll be enough for that one to reverse the form. So Come On the Lads is my next best for Gavin Cromwell. It's the 8:30 at Dundalk, and I can't not being a Boylesports man. not have my nap in the big one of the weekend, the Boylesports Becher Chase. I think Gaborio is going to run an absolute cracker, so I'll put him up as my nap. And just to mention, money back if you're second to the SP5 as a free bet every single race at Aintree on Saturday.
Yes, absolutely fabulous. I'm going to go, as I said, with 4 clean aces at Navan in the 142 is the next best pick of the weekend. And I'm really sweet at Richmond Lake for Donald McCain and Brian Hughes. I think they'll take a lot of stopping on Saturday. Right, Barry, your thoughts and your next best and nap?
Yeah, well, look, it worked out last week, Dave. We double napped Lossiemouth, so let's hope to continue the trend of the winning naps. And look, bigger price this week, Dave. Altobelli, I just thought there was lots to like with the up to 25 mil rain scheduled to fall at Sandown. I think it'll really suit this horse, and the form looks rock solid as well from Ascot last year. So Altobelli, yeah, off 1 trio could be one of the best handicapped horses, I think, either side of the water. So that's the nap at 5-1. And yeah, we're going to put in Safuera, I mentioned for Gordon Elliott, in that listed handicap chase over 2 mile, 5 furlongs at Navan on Saturday. I just think it could be well handicapped as well off 1-4-3. Second at Navan over 2-6 to tee it up for a nice run. That was over hurdles last time. The last one to mention is No Risk the Flow. I think I'm going to put that forward as an each way pick at 8-1. Nice racing weight, will handle the ground, and at Aintree you're going to need to. Yes, so delighted to be joined once again by Stephen Thorne, of course, of Stephen Thorne Racing and Shamrock Thoroughbreds. Stephen, since we caught up last week, obviously you've had a good couple of runners. 2 seconds, hitting the crossbar once again, but the horses are running very well.
Yeah, the horses remain in good form. Obviously, we've had a couple of winners, a couple of weeks ago, but we've had plenty of placed horses since. They all seem to be running, very consistent, and I'm very pleased with how the initial sort of 5-6 weeks have gone. We've had the 2 winners and a multitude of placed horses. I think we've had 8 seconds and plenty of thirds in that. So, no, I'm delighted, and everyone is very pleased, and we can make a nice plan for each horse as we move forward. Once they're running well and consistent, it keeps everyone happy.
And it was brilliant timing, I suppose, to do the stable tour. If anyone hasn't checked it out, of course, head over to the Champ.ie YouTube channel or check out Shamrock Thoroughbreds socials. Great stable tour. Really enjoyed it, Steve. Myself and Davey Boland obviously down. Spent the morning with yourself and went through, I suppose, the whole winter string. And fucking Wizard of Odds was the one that really caught my eye, Steve, finishing second of 9, only beaten 2 lengths yesterday.
Yeah, he's only a 2-year-old Wizard of Odds, and he's a 16-1 hands horse, and he's a really exciting horse for next year. I think he's only going to. He looks like a 3-year-old looking at him. So there's a winners race coming up over a mile. I think the horse is crying out for a mile now. So there's a winners race coming up there on the 18th, and then we will definitely be putting him away and treating him like a nice horse. He could be a Britannia type horse for Royal Ascot next year. He could be anything really. I think he's one for the notebooks, and I'm really excited by this horse for next season.
Yeah, back just to the 29th. That was obviously, of course, last Friday night. Never Shout Never was only beaten half a length, Stephen. Second of 14 runners, went off favoured, and give a really good account from the front.
Yeah, he's a forward going horse, and he can be quite impatient horse too. So he likes to be left alone and to do his own thing up on the front end. So first time on the all-weather surface last week, I think he handled it very well. And we were keen to get him back out when there was a suitable opportunity. So we haven't declared for tomorrow, and we're dropping back a furlong from 6 to 5. He was all speed last week. Obviously tomorrow will be a different ball game, back down a furlong. Will he be able to lead or dictate? Over 5 will be the question. Peter McCreary's in there, made clear she made the running the last day. So if we don't lead, we're happy to take a lead off 1 or 2. I think he'll go very close tomorrow.
Could he be well treated on his old form?
He definitely well is. He's a horse that was touched off in 2 Premier handicaps last year. He was bought to replace My Good Sprinters, and he hasn't lived up to expectations as mentioned in the stable tour. But he got £4 for last week, was a bit harsh, but they pulled well clear of the third. The handicapper's usually right. You could argue to all day long, when the handicappers make a move on a horse, but usually they're right, and I'm hoping they're right with this one. Obviously we're we're dealt with a poor draw again tomorrow in stall 11. But if we can get out and get across, Jamie Powell knows the horse very well. Gets on with him extremely well, and hopefully, as I said, if he comes back to something like what he showed last year, they won't get near him tomorrow.
High Time You Won. You absolutely love this horse. He's in it at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, rock solid form the last 2 starts. I think he's the one to beat. 7 runners. It's a 0 to 100. Look at every horse will get his turn in this grade of race, and this horse is suited by the 7 furlong mile trips up there. Obviously we've been raised a couple of pounds for those 2 solid runs in defeat. We've gone up from 86 to 88, and now we're up to 89, running off quite a stiff mark tomorrow. But James Ryan, champion apprentice, on board him. He's had 2 chances on him now. He knows the horse really well. We're drawn in stall 6. That won't be an issue. And yeah, we're expecting a massive run.
Pink Oasis, 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, a filly that we don't have in all that long. She was bought at the Goffs Horse and Training sale for quite a cheap purchase from the Joe Murphy stable. She was actually a $60,000 Caravaggio yearling. We're stepping her up to a mile, so the trip will be a fact-finding mission tomorrow. With these low grade 0 to 65 horses. We were making an entry to try and get a ballot number for next week over 7 furlongs, but she was actually getting a run here. The race has been divided. It's for horses that haven't won or haven't placed on their last start. She's been showing up well at home. She's for a new owner from Saudi Arabia, believe it or not. So we're going international already. Look at the fillies. I've liked what I've seen from her so far. She's quite a genuine, honest filly. James Ryan has had a sit on her already, and he's booked her right to do the steering, drawn in stall 5. So hopefully she'll have an each way chance.
Sounds like you're massively looking forward to tomorrow night then.
Yeah, we've a nice bunch of them out. Obviously, I was keen to get hopefully we get another couple on the board before Christmas. And hopefully tomorrow night we'll hopefully be able to get one somewhere along the way. And as I said, the horses remain to be running consistent and running very well, which is keeping the shareholders happy, the owners happy, and obviously we can make plans with these horses as we go along. So we're very, very hopeful, and we've got a nice team of yearlings in the background that are being prepared for next year. We're focused on the young stock as well, and we will be picking up some new fresh horses at the Breeze Up sales. And we've bought a couple of new older horses as well, including Artful Approach, who is one that we're currently syndicating at the moment. We've got a couple of 5% shares remaining, and I think you said that there will be links there on the podcast, tweets and site, etc. To go directly to the shares available with this horse, Artful Approach. A real festival, fun festival, flat festival horse for next year that can represent his owners on those festival days, and he'll be targeted at the Galway Festival next year.
Yes, and for those looking to get involved, of course, or interested in getting involved with Stephen Thorne Racing or ShamrockThoroughbreds.com, every single week, of course, we will be hearing an update from Stephen about his runners throughout the course of the winter. And the link is in the podcast description, where you'll see full details, a breakdown of course, what's available in, of course, Artful Approach and the other horses that Stephen has, I suppose, availability in terms of shares. So click the link in the podcast description. And Stephen, of course, you are always open to a phone call or an email.
Always open to a call or an email. Our details are on our website, ShamrockThoroughbreds.com. Our available shares page, all the details are there with our full portfolio of horses that are for sale. Always open for business. We've shares available to suit all budgets, and it's a great way of getting involved and meeting new people, and it's the best game in town. And we're very much looking forward to 2025 with our growing stable, and with one of Ireland's leading syndicates behind us. Hopefully we'll have plenty of fun to look forward to in 2025.
Absolutely, Stephen. Real pleasure. And we look forward to catching up next week, and hopefully a couple more on the board. Please God.
Well, great to hear from Stephen Thorne, and good luck to him this Friday night with his runners at Dundalk. A big thank you to Brian O'Keeffe. Brian, have a great day at Aintree on Saturday. Bring the umbrella. And Barry, as always, a big thank you to you. And as always, a big, massive thank you to Gowran Park, Boylesports, EJ Menswear, and Shamrock Thoroughbreds. And we look forward to seeing all your 5-cast selections below in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. From all of us, from Champ.ie this week. And don't forget, Barry and Mr. Cooper will be back once again with the Road to Cheltenham show this Monday. From all of us here on Champ.ie, have a great punting weekend.